Tonight, some Florida nursing homes and assisted living facilities are accused of blatantly disregarding COVID-19 protections and putting its already vulnerable residents in even greater danger. A downtown Miami luxury high-rise is now home to a coronavirus-killing robot. Yes, you heard that correctly. And I'm Michelle Quesada. Tonight, we start you with that investigation centered on drugs, hundreds of text messages, and the relationship between the captain and the man who shot him. Get ready for holiday lights to twinkle at the Palm Beach Zoo. It's the most wonderful time of the year, right?
A trailblazer in many ways, right, Michelle?
Incredible what these kids are accomplishing nowadays. And I loved what the dad said. It's becoming a family scouting activity, not just a father-son thing. Shannon, the Palm Beach County School District says its portal is back up and its IT department is working to determine what caused the outages. The technology will find all the users it came into contact with using Bluetooth over a period of time and then send an alert about the potential COVID exposure.
Michelle, the importance can't be understated.
And in Florida, the Cuban vote sets the Hispanic vote apart from the rest of the country. According to the Pew Research Center, 54% of Cubans voted for Donald Trump in Florida in the 2016 election.
The pandemic shut the doors of so many long-standing businesses, and it's made new businesses learn how to adapt and survive. That couldn't be more true than it is for one local Puerto Rican restaurant. It just opened in February, and it's fought to stay open. Michelle Quesada explains why this Hispanic Heritage Month, they have even more to celebrate.
There's 189 pictures on this wall of famous things in Puerto Rico.
Today, El Mata Munchies restaurant, or the Munchie Killer, is a hot spot for Puerto Ricans in West Palm Beach.
The name Munchie Killer is because, people get the munchies. It's a famous word.
When you walk in, you could see, feel, and smell Puerto Rico.
First thing is, wow, this is different.
The Puerto Rican flag is front and center.
All that was handcrafted by me.
Every piece of art either brought in from the island of enchantment itself or handmade by owner Eddie Rivera. You may not have known this restaurant existed because before this year, it didn't.
We grew from the food truck where we were just having the street food.
You may have seen this white food truck with a tent and a couple of picnic tables on the corner of Southern Boulevard and Military Trail for years. This February, Rivera opened up a permanent spot to share his heritage. And then the coronavirus pandemic hit.
That was a rough ride. We had several employees we had to let go.
But his roots in the food truck industry made him a master at takeout and delivery.
We're famous for our tripleta and our monchifongo.
Ah, yes, the mofongo, a Puerto Rican delicacy. Garlic-flavored mashed fried plantains mixed with pork, usually, but every chef puts his own spin on it.
Very fattening. If you're into health, you're in the wrong place.
You could say El Mata Munchies is a hidden gem.
The art on this wall was designed in Puerto Rico with more than 180 photos of the most famous landmarks, artists, and cultural representations the island is known for.
To the famous cookie.
This Hispanic Heritage Month, Rivera has a lot to celebrate, and he plans to keep expanding, creating more Puerto Rican businesses to share with Palm Beach County.
We have people coming of all different cultures, diversities, denominations, backgrounds, and that's the way we want to keep it.
Michelle Quesada, WPTV News Channel.
The Hispanic vote in Florida is make or break for winning the state, a key battleground in the race for president.
Both candidates are angling their messages to make big gains with this key voting bloc. WPTV News Channel 5's Tori Dunnan and Michelle Quesada teamed up to tackle this not so simple issue.
I can't believe it.
Democratic activist Claudia Mendoza, born in Colombia, makes daily visits to heavy Hispanic voting locations.
Tu voto is tu voz. In Spanish we said that means your vote is your voice.
She believes the pandemic is turning more Hispanics to the Democratic side.
We are suffering so much.
Kevin Wagner with the FAU Political Science Department.
Any attempt really to group a group as large and diverse as Latinos into one voting demographic is always going to be wrong.
Says navigating the Hispanic vote is choppy at best.
Mexican Americans from Central America tend to be a little less associated with the Republican Party. Puerto Ricans that have been voting in Florida many of them have registered as no party affiliation.
Meantime, at Box Gallery in West Palm Beach.
I always tell people when they ask me what is the temperature of the Hispanic community, And I'm like, of which country and of which class?
Curator Rolando Chang Barrero is not stepping off the pedal.
There's a certain urgency from the Hispanic community.
He's also the president of the Democratic Hispanic Caucus.
Many of them have died or got sick because they didn't believe that there was an urgency. They believed the president that there was no crisis.
He believes that fear of being forgotten with COVID and otherwise will drive the Democratic vote.
Republicans seldom come around to acknowledge Hispanics until 1 or 2 months before the vote.
According to the Pew Research Center, a record 17% of registered voters in Florida are Hispanic. That's a slight uptick from 4 years ago. And Michelle, the importance can't be understated.
And in Florida, the Cuban vote sets the Hispanic vote apart from the rest of the country. According to the Pew Research Center, 54% of Cubans voted for Donald Trump in Florida in the 2016 election.
My view is that we have to vote for Donald Trump because came from Cuba. We know what happened in Cuba. We know the destruction in Cuba.
What are the things about Joe Biden that makes you think about the communism in Cuba? Why do you feel like those two are connected?
Because the way he's talk.
Like many immigrants in South Florida who fled dictatorships, progressive, socialism are trigger words for Elaine Fandino. Those words are used in President Donald Trump's Spanish ads comparing Joe Biden to the communist regimes Fandino is all too familiar with.
I'm going to be good to go down as one of the most progressive presidents in American history.
We have to be scared of socialism. I remember what was happening to Cuba and everything coming from Cuba to Puerto Rico. And I have many friends from Cuba, Colombia. Venezuela was rich.
But it's not that clear cut for all.
In Palm Beach County, you have representation of over 21 countries from Latin America and the Caribbean.
Immigration, healthcare, religion, education, the economy, all rank differently for Hispanics even within the same nationalities.
There's a perception, and especially in the Anglo population, the custom has been always that one size fits all. Well, that's not the case.
Well, you could at least call them a saving grace. Some do. There was one type of business deemed essential from the start of the pandemic that helped families living paycheck to paycheck. Pawn shops, as it turns out. WPTV News Channel 5's Michelle Quesada explains how pawning did get some people through the pandemic and how the industry reaped rewards when cash began to flow again.
This is actually our history.
Typically searching for precious antiques, Andrew Charbonneau says this year, treasure hunting took a back seat in the pawn shop industry.
I think we're all in a situation we're not used to, so everybody's doing what we call survival.
Owner of Palm Beach Pawn King in North Palm Beach and 2 other pawn shops in West Palm Beach and Delray Beach, Charbonneau saw firsthand what the lockdown in March did to local families.
We have a lot of nervous individuals who've never pawned before in their life, and they were in a situation, had nowhere to go, no other avenues to obtain cash.
Some bank branches were temporarily closed, hours reduced in others, but those in the pawning business were open.
The essential aspect of what we do was very important for the community because the bank will not lend you on your cell phone, won't lend you on your computer.
The COVID-19 pandemic put thousands of people in Palm Beach County out of work. According to statistics from the State Department of Economic Opportunity, the city hit hardest was Boynton Beach, where in just 30 days, the unemployment rate increased from 4.7 in March to 17.5 in April.
They would come in and say, oh, I lost my job to the pandemic and whatnot, and it's just, sad.
Bobby Gloyd at GNC Pawn Shop in Boynton Beach says to pay mortgages or rent,
this one's about $2,000 right here.
People pawn the items that hold the most value.
Yeah, gold's always good. It's easier to sell. It also has a lot of value.
Family heirlooms. Anything jewelry related that has emotional pass down value, meaning sentimental value, we did see a lot of that. It wasn't so much selling. They were still nervous about losing it because they didn't know if they were going to be able to pick it back up.
When those stimulus and unemployment checks did start coming through, pawn shops say business shifted to sales. They were selling laptops, gaming systems, anything that could help people get through quarantine.
Everybody was looking for laptops, I guess when the kids were being homeschooled.
PS4 was one of the big things. If I had 500 of them, they'd be sold probably within a week at the time period.
Musical instruments, tools for home improvements, all among the hot commodities. And then there were items items people couldn't find in retail stores.
Bike sales were very, very high. I would say that's 75% plus increase. Workout equipment, again, we're not used to selling that. It usually sits on the shelves. So there was a lot of increases in fields that I would never project in the future would be the same.
Most pawn shop owners say people not only came back for their pawned items when they got their stimulus checks, they bought more.
iPad Air, a lot of people looking for that.
The newest thing is like sneakers. I mean, they've been easier to sell than tools. It's nuts.
With 2020 almost at a close, pawn shop owners like Charbonneau, who've been in the business for 40 plus years, say they could have never predicted business trends this year. And with a third wave of COVID-19 in motion, they don't expect to know what the holiday season will be like.
There's no way anybody can predict how this Christmas season is going to unfold.
Michelle Quesada, WPTV News Channel 5.